going on, folks? Painless. See the title, thumbnail. This is I did the video, and I've done it. I've remixed it. I've done it over the years about Pan Syndrome in the so-called black community, especially amongst black men. And this is exactly what it is, folks. This is exactly what we're dealing with. With Shannon Sharpe. I was in the barber shop today, And believe it or not, barbershop still happens, the barbershop I go to, brothers, around my age, today I usually go early, but, well, shoot, what time is it now? Almost about 11:45. So I was in there about 8:30, early. And it got a little active. It was people in there more, we were talking about this subject. And, I was sitting there listening to some of the guys at the end of the Shedeur situation come up. And I'm going to tie all this in, with Dion and Shedeur, his son. And I just sat there and I said, I was saying to myself, I said, these some good guys. But we are worlds apart in terms of ideology. And that happens in the so-called black community. I told you I painted a picture, not literally painted a picture, but when I've done this video years ago, I painted a picture in terms of a scenario, typical. You can have 5 black families, let's say, grow up on 73rd Street. 5 black families on 73rd Street. Now, mama may cook a pot of neck bones. We all eat neck bones. We all like collard greens, mustard, turnip greens. There's bread at every meal. We go to church on Sunday. Other than that, that's it. We like to think we're a homogenous group as black folks. And I've talked about how so inconsistent and incorrect that is. We are not homogenous. And case in point, this situation and listening to these brothers talk about Shedeur and Shannon Sharpe. But this is the catch. There were snippets of truth. Why are you saying this painless? You're saying we're more in line, we're more homogenous, or we're more all together in tune in terms of thought because there's snippets of truth. No. My counter to that is live and let live. See, I embrace the blurred, what these youngsters call black. I play on the word black nerd, or blurred. See, there's value in everybody. But a lot of older black folks, especially, it's always the people that are 10 years older than me that I've always had issues with in the so-called black community. I always have. It's not the youngsters that I really have issues with. You know who my riffs are with black folks? Is people that are 8 and 10 years older than me. So about 56, 58. They're like them early They like them early Gen Xers. You know what I'm saying? You can't tell them nothing. They think they know everything. That generation, even white folks, they're from that generation that think, oh, I'm older than you. You got to listen to me. Bullshit. No other group does that. I don't do that. It's something about them people born in 68 to 72 or 73. They own that, oh, I'm older than you. I don't have to listen to you. You have to listen to me, shit. I don't know. It's something about that age, that bracket. But yeah, I sat there and listened to those brothers. I said, man, we are worlds apart. And see, this type of thinking to me is why it kind of bleeds over into why you have a lot of issues between when a black man encounters authority. Instead of trying to have the last word, that's very feminine. That's a very female trait, to try to have the last word. And I've said that countless times. I've driven that home many times in my videos along the years about men shouldn't do that shit. And you damn sure shouldn't be doing that with a woman. You think I'm going to be arguing and trying to have the last word with a woman? No, I'm out. I'm deuces. I'm going to leave you argue with your damn self. I'm not doing that. But yeah, you could have 5 black families grow up and we all different. You know why? Why, Painless? We have no culture. We have no unifying cultures and norms and practices other than food and dance. That's why the black culture, the American black culture, you got guys like Tariq Nasheed arguing about trying to maintain breakdancing and shit and hip hop. That shit can be copied. That shit can be copied, enhanced, whatever you think about it, and by anyone. I've talked about how Koreans are frying good ass chicken. Why? It ain't hard. You know what I'm saying? There are cultures that are ironclad around the world that you can't copy. The black American culture, it can be easily copied. Hey, why again? Why you say that, Painless, again? Because we copy the shit from Caucasians. I remember, it makes me think about Angel Snup Snup. I don't know where that brother is, but he used to come at me back in the day, back in like 2010, 11. But he had this term called Negropeans. And it rings true. I remember telling my mama this a couple years ago. I said, all we are is dark-skinned Caucasians. You go anywhere around the world, and as a black person, and you feel like you've been mistreated, you're going to be glad to see a white person. From America. Because y'all got shit in common. You know? It remind me, like my cousin from California who been in out the pen. You kill each other on the street. You gang bang on the street, kill each other, shoot each other down. Then you get to jail. You realize you gotta click up. Oh, why? Because the Hispanics and the Caucasians are on some other type shit. You know? So you You Hoovers and East Coast Crips can shoot each other down. You Hoovers and East Coast Crips can't be up in here with that bullshit like y'all be on the streets. Y'all got to actually come together. You Hoovers and 9-0s can't be out here, can't be up in here in this prison on that bullshit like y'all be on the streets. You Grape Streets and you bounty hunters or PJ, y'all can't be on that bullshit. Leave that shit for the streets, because we got to click up in here because the Mexicans and the whites like to turn up and bow up. So that's the thing. That's how it is. And I've seen it with black folk and white folks in Asia, Europe, especially Asia. You find out, we can't be on that little small sundown shit town, white folks, black versus black folks. We're over here in damn Sri Lanka or Singapore, and they both looking at us. The Singapore man is looking at us both crazy. They not tripping off color. They like, you Americans. So I've seen it. And I know I went off on a tangent, but see, with Shannon Sharpe, man, those brothers it was like, okay, yeah, he without sin cast the first stone. Who ain't got freaky and busy? But there's a caveat to that. You have the prerogative to be as freaky as you want. You're single, you do what the hell you want to do. That's my motto. But I think it's really a bad look. And this is where you get into the Peter Pan syndrome. I think it's a bad look for a mid to late 50-year-old guy fucking with a 19, 20-year-old. It's the optics about that. I mean, yeah, he's being a man, but optics. What they say, perception is reality, goddamn. It just gives kind of... I can see how somebody be like, that's off. Now, I see, but this is what I was talking about. I can see where those brothers were. I can agree with some of the things they were saying. Because he is a guy. He's a man. She's a grown woman, even though they're like 30 years apart plus. Nevertheless. But it also, it's partially not a good look. And then you have the stuff with him fighting or going after guys at Laker games or a basketball game, being tough. I think Shannon Sharpe has an identity issue. I really think he does. He's really not... Club Shay Shay doesn't appeal to me at all. Because I think his delivery... He's a football country South Georgia football player trying to break into a business that doesn't really match him. You talking about bullshit. I don't want to hear you talk about drama and bullshit. I liked Shannon Sharpe when he talked about football and sports. I don't want to hear when he got into this tea game, talking about the latest tea or gossip and rumors, aka that bullshit. I don't want to hear that from you. I don't go to Texas Roadhouse for the chicken parmesan, if you get what I mean. If I want chicken parm, I go to Olive Garden, Buca di Beppo. I go to Sal's Italiano restaurant. I don't wear an Adidas shirt with Nike shoes. You know, do y'all get where I'm going? I don't want to hear an ex-football player talking about who wore a dress and what man, you got to sacrifice if you're a black. I don't want to hear that bullshit. So I don't mess with Club Shay Shay. The name is whack anyway, Club Shay Shay. Like, the fuck, what club? Are you Shay Shay, Shannon? And why are you calling yourself Shay Shay? And then you got an off-brand Nipsey Hussle song. Like, damn, you couldn't come up with no song intro all my life, grinding all my life. Like, so it's like, he's like an old brother trying to still be relevant. And this is exactly what brings me to the focal point of this video. And I know it took me a while to bend that corner on that. It took me a while, but I'm around, and there go T. There go T, there go T. Old brother still trying to be relevant. This is what this is. Shannon Sharpe, Shay Shay, still trying to be relevant. Still taking videos, having sex, doing young boy shit. And you know what I'm noticing? See, this is the thing. I've said this. A lot of us as black men, we have that issue. I've surpassed that. I find myself, I'm very low key. I'm very modest. In my look. I'm not. I always say I'm regular, but I'm not basic. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a regular. I'm not out there trying to be seen. Peter Pan Syndrome. But Shannon Sharpe, he represent that ilk of brother. There's brothers out here coming out the pen doing 30, 35 years and getting shot by a young 19-year-old because he's still trying to debo and pocket check, trying to pat brothers' pockets, trying to, go in their pockets and see what they got to take. And then these young guys, they don't really fight. They blow them down and kill them. You did 28 years. You only been out 2 months, and you got shot by what they call a YN, a young nigga. All that shit you went through on the streets, and you did 20 plus years in the pen, you leaking on the ground by a nigga that wasn't even thought about when you used to be on these streets. That's the sad reality of a lot of older black men now. Getting blown away by young YNs. It is sad. And I told you, I stay out the way from young. You're supposed to. You're not, if you're 53, you're not supposed to be going live on Instagram having sex with a woman. That shit is young. That's young shit. And we wonder why all this shit still keeps going on with young people in the so-called black community. It's fools like Shannon Sharpe. Ain't what your grandmama and them used to say, ain't nothing new under the sun. It's nothing new under the sun. These young people learn, man, these young people out here crazy. They got these big, they learning from y'all, fool. These youngsters didn't sprout out like this. Just like they talking about Shedeur. Shedeur is, you know what Shedeur Sanders is going, he's suffering the sins of their fathers. Because Shedeur is a young 20-something, his brain, according to some science, most science, or anatomy isn't fully developed, so I don't put it on him. He's suffering the sins of his daddy. That's what Shedeur Sanders is going through. It ain't a black thing, because I've seen black what the quarterback for Alabama, Milroe, he got drafted. Yeah, the number 1 pick, who was a 0-star recruit, go number 1, Cam Ward. He was a 0-star recruit coming out of high school to the number 1 draft pick in the 2025 NFL draft. Talk about starting from the bottom. So this ain't about race. These are all these Willie D, talking and making it about race and all this shit. I've lost respect for Willie D, but some of the shit he be on. But it ain't about. This is about. We gonna teach your arrogant, boisterous, over the top ass daddy a lesson, and we gonna take it out on your goddamn son. That's what we gonna do. What about the Mannings? What about the Mannings? What about them? See, and that's the thing. You folks that you focusing on the wrong thing. The Mannings ain't got shit to do with Shedeur suffering the sins of his daddy. I haven't heard the Mannings say, you know what? This, out of all my years, and this was an anonymous source, out of all my years, this was one of the worst, if not, interviews I've had with an athlete in terms of checking for, character checks, the initial stages or interviews when you're becoming a professional athlete, when you're moving into the realm of professional sports. I haven't heard that shit coming from the Manning family. I've heard it coming out the Sanders family. Excuse me. So this is the sins of their fathers. That's all this is. And plus, Shedeur, he ain't exactly would you take away his namesake and who his daddy is? He's just average at best. Doesn't climb the pocket, drifts back, holds the ball too long, Tried to blame it on, the line wasn't the best, but try to blame that on his own line. No, you put your line, when you're a quarterback like that, and you don't climb the pocket and you trying to, do all the most, what happens, you put your O-line at a disadvantage. That's what you really do. So he's not exactly the best. I think Justin Milroe, y'all know me, I'm Roll Tide all day, every day. I didn't think he would go that early. But he's got a damn cannon for an arm, and he can do other things. He's an athlete. He's fast as hell. And he can be developed. And then nobody wants to deal with somebody who's always been raised by their daddy. I mean, in terms of coached by their daddy. And then you got to deal with his shit. You got to deal with that Sanders shit. I wouldn't want to deal with that. So, all these Ryan Clarks and Willie D's and all these black pundits out here trying to make it seem like it's a race thing. You got Mike Tomlin passed on him. You know why? Mike Tomlin is a smart man. And he's like, man, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not dealing with this bullshit. I'm not dealing with Prime up here in my ear. Yeah, we cool, but brother, this is my shit. You know? So I know. And the NFL streets are talking and have talked. And the verdict was out. That's why he's still on the shelf. Now, I'd be surprised if he goes undrafted. I would be surprised. But this idea he needs to go, like he should have been the top pick, top 10, bullshit. Bullshit. Take the namesake away, average at best. So that's another trap, the falling in with brothers. You know what I'm saying? And so what if the league is humbling? They need to. All that showboating and extra, like you a young man and you already acting like that. White people, we ain't talking about Caucasians. And see, that's where you mess up. You all over there when you should be over here. You're not where you're supposed to be. Worried about what white folks do it. We ain't talking, I said what I said. But yeah, this shit is, hey man, old head, older, and I'm getting older. We all are, but I'm saying I'm getting that age where I'm knocking on 50. I'm 46. I'll be 47 this year. Like I'm starting to turn, and, I got a good 35 years. That's, my daddy said, I got more years behind me than ahead of me. And that's just the truth. So you shouldn't be, this was a bad look for Shannon Sharpe. And then you look at you see all these guys in California, indictments, talking too damn much on these podcasts. I said the podcasts are the new street. They ain't really people on the street. When I see podcasts and all this shit, and I'm collecting information for videos, content that I'm doing, then I said the word content. But when I'm doing that, I'm like, damn, ain't nobody on the streets. So the street is digital now. You got people you don't know where they are. Talking noise, Old dudes, your whack 100s, your big U's, talking big shit in chat rooms. It's weird. I think that's why all the people that used to, I only clapped back a couple times when people used to talk so much noise about me and making videos, because I'm not used to that. I haven't got used to talking noise on the internet, because my thing is, and I've always said this, if it's that bad, y'all need to meet up and thump and get it in. If it's like that. And I'm not, because I know 9 times out of 10, if I was in the room, you wouldn't be saying that. But I've clapped back to show them I give you a taste that I ain't person be coming at like that. But I don't do all that tongue wrestling on the internet, because I ain't gonna see you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll get in the ring with your ass. And we'll handle it that way. That's how I am. And that's how it should be. So I kind of like that. Like, we get in the ring. We do some gloves. We go head covering or no head covering. Because when you go bare knuckle, it can get, you know what I'm saying? We just going to put on these gloves and we going to mix it up. We going to get it in. I support that. In a controlled environment, with nothing getting out of hand, you get your tail whooped, go home. Don't go pop your trunk. And we have people who can control that from happening. And we gonna get in there and we gonna get it the hell in. I support that. If it needs to go there. But these are the new streets, and these are older men, older brothers, getting it in, showing why black men are looked at the way that they are, and why I'm very selective about the brothers that I deal with. I'm very selective about black men that I deal with, because of the Shannon Sharpes, the Willie D's. The Shedeur Sanders, they cool to talk to, but you got to keep your distance. And really, a lot of black men know, it's sad, we know who to keep our distance from. And I've always said this especially about the streets. I'm not a street guy, but I'm familiar. You just got a bunch of black men running around scared of each other. Just like that boy who stabbed that white boy. They made it about race, but I only said that for all intents and purposes. You get you get the jacking, fighting or whatever, thumping, squabbling, and your first inclination, your first thing is to pull out a knife and drive it in somebody's chest. That's pretty bitch made to me. And I would be mad as hell at my son if he did some shit like that. Like, you went to that extreme. We talking about a simple fisticuff, a simple fade or a fight, and you can't get your ass, like, you pulled out a knife. So I'm not gonna harp too much on that, because to me it's really young boy kid shit, and they making it out like it's about to be civil war, white. You know what I'm saying? If this young black boy don't get convicted, which would be, this shit happens every day. But I don't think he should have done that. The young black dude, I don't think he should have went to that extreme. He should have just got it cracking, and if he lost or got jumped, that's just what it is. But again, that's very feminine. You in a one-on-one, and you in a one-on-one, and and then you fighting a white boy. I don't think he would have pulled nothing out on you. Now, you find like a Mexican will be, a Mexican is quick to shoot or stab you, black men. You know why? Because they're scared to get into physical, most scared, not all, but generally they're scared to get in a physical altercation. So if you're a big black dude and you got an issue with a Mexican and you keep fucking with him, messing with him and all that, he gonna shoot your ass. Because he's scared. I don't think this white boy would have did that. So you didn't even have to do that. You didn't even have to pull out a knife and do that. Not for a white guy. He would have just fought you, or it wouldn't have been no funny business. And I think even with a black dude, if you would have fought, if this had with a black, it would have been you know what I'm saying? You got to look at the environment. This was a high school track meet area. I don't even think a black dude would have, it would just been, y'all would have just threw down. But if you was messing with like a Mexican, yeah, you probably would have. But, you know, and I only know this because I've been around these groups of people. I know when you've traveled and lived different places such as Painless, you get to know how people act and react, violence, shopping habits, eating habits, norms, you know. No shit we know, but until you pay attention to it, then you know. But about to get out of here. Watch a little bit of this NFL draft. Get my, just chill. Painless out.